Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, page 34, starting at the bottom of 33b. For context, conversely, Rabbah and Rabbi Yosef both say, with regard to the entrance through which one enters from the house to the garden, meaning the entrance between the gatehouse and the garden, everyone agrees that one is exempt from placing a mezuzah. What is the reason? It is the entrance to the garden, and the garden does not require a mezuzah. When they disagree is with regard to the entrance from the garden to the house, meaning the entrance between the gatehouse and the small room. One sage, Rabbi Yossi, holds that is the way of entering the house, and the house requires a mezuzah. And one sage, meaning the rabbis, holds that the entire, and this takes us to 34a on the top, with the words Adaita Degina Hu De Avida. Okay, Adaita Degina Hu De Avida. Area is made for the purpose of reaching the garden, not for entering the house, and therefore, even with regard to the entrance between the gatehouse and small room, one is exempt from placing a mezuzah at the entrance of the small room. Abai v'Rova, Avdi Kiraba v'Rav Yosef, v'Rav Ashi Abid Kirav u'Shmuel l'Chumro, v'Hilchaso Kirav u'Shmuel l'Chumro. The Gemara relates that Abai and Rava would act in accordance with the explanation of Rav and Rav Yosef, meaning that they would not place mezuzah on the two entrances of the gatehouse, neither to the garden or to the small room, in accordance with the ruling of the rabbis. And Rav Ashi would act in accordance with the explanation of Rav and Shmuel stringently, meaning following the ruling of Rav Yossi, and that both entrances require mezuzah. The Gemara concludes, and the halacha is in accordance with the explanation of Rav and Shmuel stringently. And since Rav Ashi redacted the Talmud, that's probably why it's the halacha. He's the one who's saying it, since he held that way. He's the one who's stating it. Okay. Itma lul patuach min habayis le'aliyah Amar Huno im yesh lo pesach echad chayav b'mezuzah achas im yesh lo shnei pesachin chayav b'shtei mezuzos Amar Rav Papa shma mino min Rav Huno hai in rona Islay arba bave chay be'arba mezuzos pshito loy tzricha afal gav derogil bechad. It was stated with regard to an aperture that opens from the ceiling of a house, occupied by one person, to a loft, occupied by another, with a walled staircase leading from the lower floor to the loft. Rav Huna says if the staircase has one entrance, meaning one doorway, either from the house or from the upper story, one is obligated to affix one mezuzah. If it has two entrances, both from below and above, one is obligated to affix two mezuzot. Rav Papa says one can learn from that statement of Rav Huna that with regard to this type of room that has four gates, one is obligated to affix four mezuzot. The Gemara asks, isn't it obvious? The Gemara explains, no. It is necessary to teach that even though one is accustomed to using one particular gate, nevertheless, all four require a mezuzah. Amar meimar hai pischa nikana chayav b'mezuzah. Amar Rashi le'meimar v'holes le'petzimin. Omalei ade petzime. Amaymar said with regard to this entrance, which is located at the corner of a house, one is obligated to affix a mezuzah. Rav Ashi said to Amaymar, but it does not have doorposts. Amaymar said to him, these are its doorposts, meaning at the end of the walls serve as its doorposts. Rav Papa ikla lebeimar Shmuel Chazahu pischa de la hava le ela patzim echad or chad patzima bismala v'vida le mezuzah omer le kemahan kede Rabbi Meir Emar de'amar Rabbi Meir miyamin mismol mi'amar. The Gemara relates Rav Papa happened to come to the house of Mar Shmuel, where he saw a certain entrance that had only one doorpost to the left of the entrance, and yet Mar Shmuel had affixed a mezuzah to that doorpost. Rav Papa said to him, in accordance with whose opinion did you do this? Did you act in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who deems one obligated to affix a mezuzah to an entrance that has only one doorpost? But one can say that Rabbi Meir says that one must do so only in a case where the doorpost is to the right of the entrance. Does he say that it requires a mezuzah if the entrance is to the left? My high Titania beisecha biascha min hayamin. Yata omer min hayamin o eno ela mismod tamen lomer beisecha my talmudo omorabo derach biascha min hayamin dechi kal inish kare mi demina akol. The Gemara asks, what is the source for this requirement that the mezuzah be affixed to the right side, as it is taught in a Braita when the verse states, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house. Beitecha, Deuteronomy 6:9. The word Beitecha is interpreted as Biatecha, your entry. And the mezuzah must be affixed to the side by which you enter, which is from the right. Do you say it is from the right, or is it only from the left? Therefore, the verse states, your house, Beitecha. The Gemara asks, what is the biblical derivation here? Rabbah says the mezuzah is affixed in the way that you enter the house, which is from the right. As when a person lifts his foot to begin walking, he lifts his right foot first. Therefore, the mezuzah is affixed to the right side of the doorway. Rav Shmuel Baruch Acha Kabed Rav Papa Mishmei Dirov Bar Ula Omar Mehocha Veikach Yehoyada Kohen Aron Echad Veikov Chor Bedalto Veiten Oto Etzel Mizbeach Miyamin Vivo Ish Beis Hashem Vinasnu Shama Kohanim Shomrei Hasaf Eskol HaKesef Hamuva Beis Hashem. Rav Shmuel Bar Acha said before of Papa in the name of Rav Bar Ula that the requirement that the mezuzah be affixed to the right of the entrance is derived from here. And Yehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar on the right side as one comes into the house of the Lord. And the priest that kept the threshold put in there all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. 2 Kings 12:10. This indicates that an object designed for those entering a house is placed to the right of the one entering. My Rabbi Meir Titania Bayis shein lo el patzim echad Rabbi Meir mechayev b'mezuzah v'chachamim poitrin. My time in the Rabbonon mezuzah is ksiv. The Gemara further inquires, what is this statement of Rabbi Meir referring to Rav Papa, that he deems one obligated to place a mezuzah on the entrance that has only one doorpost, as it is taught in a Braita with regard to a house that has only one doorpost. Rabbi Meir deems one obligated to affix a mezuzah, and the rabbis deem him exempt from fixing a mezuzah. The Gemara asks, what is the reasoning of the rabbis? It is written, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house. Deuteronomy 6:9, in the plural, which indicates that there must be two doorposts. My time in the Rabbi Meir, the tiny mezuzahs, shemea ani miut, mezuzahs shtayim, Keshu oimer mezuzos b'parsha shniyo. Shein tamad loimar havi riboi achar riboi. Ve'ein riboi achar riboi el lemait. Mute akosiv in mezuzah achas. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. The Gemara asks, what is the reason of Rabbi Meir that one doorpost suffices to obligate one to affix a mezuzah, as it is taught in a Braita when it states doorposts, Deuteronomy 6:9, I would derive the minimum number of doorposts, which is 2. When it says doorposts in the second passage, Deuteronomy 11:20, this also serves to teach a halacha, as otherwise there is no need for the verse to state this. This is one amplification following another amplification, and the principle is that an amplification following an amplification is stated only in order to restrict its extent. In this manner, the verse restricted the minimum number to one doorpost. This is the statement of Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Akiva oimer, ein tzorich, keshu oimer, ala mashko yal shtem zuzoi, shein tam loimer shtei, ma tam loimer shtei, ze bonoav, kol makom shenemar mezuzos, einu el al achas, ad sheyifchoit lecho akosu shtayim. Rabbi Akiva says this proof is not necessary. Rather, when the verse states, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts, Exodus 12:22, one can claim that there is a superfluous word in this verse, as there is no need for the verse to state 2, since the minimum of doorposts is 2. What is the meaning of when the verse states 2? This established a paradigm that anywhere it is stated doorposts, it means only one doorpost, unless the verse specifies that it is referring to 2 doorposts. Tanu abana nuchsavtam yochal ichtavena ala avonim nemar kan kesiva v'nemar lalan kesiva ma lehalana sefer avkan ala sefer. The sages taught in the Brisa, the verse states, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, Deuteronomy 6:9. One might have thought that one writes the mezuzah on the stones of the entrance. To counter this, the expression of writing is stated here with regard to mezuzah as and the expression of writing is stated there just as there the mitzvah of writing means on a book, meaning parchment, so too a mezuzah must be written on a book. O klach the derzog nemar kan kesiva nemar halan kesiva ma halan alavanim afkan al avanim. The Braita suggests, or perhaps go this way. Kalach the derzog, go this way. Meaning one can suggest a different interpretation. An expression of writing is stated here with regard to mezuzah, and writing is stated there with regard to the mitzvah of writing the words of the Torah on stones upon the entry to Eretz Yisrael, Deuteronomy 27 verse 3. Just as there the words are written on stones themselves, so to here the mezuzah should be written on the stones. Nire lemi domeh donin ksiva hanoheges edoirois miksiva hanoheges edoirois vein donin ksiva hanoheges edoirois miksiva shein hanoheges edoirois וכמו שנאמר להלן, ויאמר להם ברוך מפיו, יקרא אלי את הדברים האלה, ואני כותב על ספר בדעיי. The Braita continues, let us see to which it is similar. Meaning, which comparison appears more apt? We derive writing that is performed in all generations, meaning that of mezuzah, from another writing that is performed in all generations, but we do not derive writing that is performed in all generations from writing that is not performed in all generations. And furthermore, a mezuzah must be written with ink, as it is stated below, and Baruch said to them, he dictated all these words to me, and I wrote them with ink in the scroll. Is that a mezuzah? It's a scroll. I mean, I guess they're saying all scrolls are the same. Okay. Jeremiah 36:18. Amar le Rabacha Berei Derav Deravashi Rachmana Amar mezuzah is viat Amar Nela Ksiva Amar Krak Sabtam Ksiva Tama Behadar Al Mezuzos Rav Achad, the son of Rava, said to Rashi, the merciful one states, upon the doorposts, which indicates that a mezuzah should be written on the doorposts themselves. And yet you say, let us derive a verbal analogy between writing and writing to teach that one writes it on parchment. Why isn't the verse interpreted in accordance with its straightforward meaning? Rav Ashi said to him, the verse states, and you shall write them, uchetavtam, which means that it should first be complete writing. Ketiva tama, meaning the full passage is written down, and only then place them uchetavtam. Oh, ketiva tama. You should write them al mezuzot beitecha. That's an interesting question. If you look at the verse by itself, it says write on doorposts. Yeah, write it on doorposts. So why don't you just write them actually on the doorposts? Just write it like that. No, Rav Ashi says that it's katav tam is kativa tama. You have to write a complete writing, and that there has to be completely written first, and then you place it. That's his derivation. But a Sadducee might say, just write a little something on the door and you're fine. You have carrots today. Maybe they do that. One should place them upon the doorpost of the house. Interesting. The Gemara asks, and since it is written, and you shall write them, from which it is derived that the mezuzah should be written first and then placed on the doorpost, why do I need this verbal analogy between writing and writing? The Gemara explains that were it not for the verbal analogy, I would say that one should write the passages of a mezuzah on a stone, and afterward affix the stone to the doorpost. To counter this, the verbal analogy teaches us that a mezuzah must be written on a scroll. Arba parashios, Shabbat Tefillin, mi'akvois zu ezu, ve'afilu kasav echad, mi'akvan pshito. The Mishnah teaches with regard to the 4 passages that are in the phylacteries, meaning the 2 passages that are written in mezuzah, and 2 additional passages, Exodus 13:1 through 9, and 11 through 6. The absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the others, and the absence of even one letter prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah with the rest of them. The Gemara asks, isn't it obvious that the inclusion of every letter is necessary? Amar Rav Yehuda Marav lo nitzrecha ela lekotzer shel yud. V'yonami pshita lo nitzrecha ela leidach Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Yehuda Marav kol ois she'en gvil mukaf la me'arba uruchoisea psulo. Rav Yehuda says that Rav says it is necessary to state this ruling only to teach that even the absence of the thorn, koitzoi shel yud, the thorn, meaning the small stroke of the letter yud, prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah. The Gemara asks, but isn't this also obvious? Since the letter is not formed properly, rather, it is necessary only according to another statement of Rav Yehuda that Rav Yehuda says, as Rav Yehuda says, that Rav says, any letter that is not encircled with blank parchment on all 4 of its sides, as its ink connects to the letter above it, below it, preceding it, or succeeding it, it is unfit. And this is a nice, neat ending for 34a, because the next Amud starts with Tanu Rabbanan, and looking forward to seeing you there.